Hello, this is Marcus with the Wesleyville Borough, and I am here today, and I want to give you a bunch of miscellaneous updates on roads, on sewers, on various projects going on in the borough. So it'll be a little bit of a longer one real quick, but first and foremost, I think the one that most people are really thinking the most about is Euclid Boulevard. There has been updates on that. Everything since my last video, we've got everything finalized contract-wise. We've met just yesterday. We held a pre-construction meeting, which is required for a project of this scale and for PennDOT. We held a pre-construction meeting, so everybody's on the same page. Everything's looking good. At this point, the notice to proceed will be issued by PennDOT actually on August 31st. So I know I was saying the middle of the month, here we are. We did have the pre-construction meeting. There is progress, but it'll be the end of the month is when they'll have the notice to proceed, and you will start to see McCormick Construction, as you may remember, the vendor, the contractor who won that. You will see them out here at the week of the 31st. Now, something that actually we're kind of glad we have this extra week and a half in here, because in the process of the last month, one member of council in particular did put, was adamant that we get this cambered before we would do any work on the road. And sure enough, when we cambered the line, the sewer line, as many of you remember, this was just a brand new line last year, but sometimes things settle over the winter and whatnot, and there's actually a belly that has been created in this line a little bit. So our contractor has been informed. They are good to come out and make this repair. They recognize that that is a problem. And they are actually going to be getting started, I believe, tomorrow or the next day. So the 20th or the 21st, tomorrow, Thursday or Friday, is when the sewer contractor will be out here making that fix. And then you'll see on the 31st is when the road will get started. So not as quick as we would have liked this whole process. I know for many of you, you're like, hey, this has been sooner, should have been sooner. It is, it is what it is. Here we are today, but it will be done this year. And remember, this is an $850,000 project. So it's a huge project, huge undertaking, and it's going to really improve this block up here from Station to Willow. That's just how much things cost. Now, I did want to take a quick moment and just say, I know on all these posts, anytime I put something out about Euclid, people say, well, what about Edison? Or what about Bird? And I put something, something comes out about Edison and people say, well, what about Euclid? So there's always, competing interests with everything, but I want to give you an update on all of them. Euclid, this section will be done this year. We do already have funds secured, $750,000 for the remainder of Euclid, and that should be able to come together and be done next year. But there is an open question there. There may be more funding needed, and there's a sewer system underneath, and there's a little bit more complexity there. But we're hopeful for construction season 27 for Euclid Phase 2. Then Edison Avenue. Edison is our worst rated, most complained about asphalt road. Key asphalt road. There are other concrete roads that arguably are as bad or maybe even slightly worse, but concrete is kind of its own beast. So just focusing on asphalt for a moment. Edison from Station Road over to Hinkler is by far the worst asphalt road we have remaining. Take a drive over it. Our public works will tell you about how many hours, countless hours of potholes they have filled on that road, that section. So it's a bad road over there. And we have just received a grant. Thankfully, thank you to PennDOT and the Multimodal Transportation Fund. Thank you to our state representative, Bob Mirsky, for advocating on our behalf for this program, or for this particular project. We did receive funds, $600,000 approximately, that is coming from PennDOT funds. There is a little bit of a match on that, but actually, I've already put in another application with DCED to a similar program that maybe that, if we get some money, and we'll know later this year, we may be able to use that money as a match for the other money, and then everybody's happy and the borough doesn't have to cough up anything. So that's what we're hopeful for, but we will see. So Edison Avenue, $600,000 secured. Many of you are thinking, whoa, $600,000. That's a decent stretch. There's several blocks there, and the other thing to keep in mind is that's the totality of the project. When we do a project like that, that is so bad over there on Edison, it's not a simple mill and repave. There is no base under there. The asphalt through and through is in bad shape, so we need to dig the whole thing out and start from scratch, and that's what it costs. Also, just for your reference, for example, at the corner of Edison Avenue and Market Street, None of the ADA curb ramps have been updated. So just in 8 curb ramps at that one intersection, just the curb ramps, not touching the road, not touching the asphalt, not putting any base down, nothing. Just the curb ramps on the corners cost about $32,000. $32,000 for 8 curb ramps on the corners, for the 4 corners. Then we have at least 1 or 2 that's needed at Center Street intersection with Edison, and we need a couple at the Water Street intersection. So just sidewalks. That project is already adding up to 50 grand. So that doesn't even factor in that Edison will have to be fully milled and excavated, lay down 6 inches of base underneath, and then I think according to the specs we have right now, it's 4 or 6 inches of asphalt on top of that. So we're gonna have a very good road afterwards, but that does cost money. So $600,000 already secured for Edison. That should be a 2027 project, so I think it will be. Next, we received $175,000 for Bird Drive between Euclid and Edison. That is the worst section of Bird, and I do know Bird is very heavily trafficked, and we do receive quite a lot of complaints about that. Now, Bird does have a good base underneath of it, so we won't have to really excavate and put down all kind of stuff. We're going to do spot repairs as necessary, but for the most part, that's a simple mill and fill. The funding's already secured, $175,000. We think that should cover it, and that should be a 2027 project as well. So at this rate, 3 of the roads that we get probably the most complaints about, Euclid, Bird, and Edison, we have some funds secured, and it's looking promising that we will be getting some work done in the next, by the end of the next construction season or the one after. Last road, I know many people complain about Fremont. We're still working on Fremont. I promise you, I'm looking at grants. I'm putting in grant applications, and hopefully we'll have good news on Fremont soon. But only so many at a time. However, that is important for you all to keep in mind. As much as, I've been thinking about Euclid quite a lot this year. We all have at the borough. But I'm also thinking to the next step, what is next year's projects? We need to start getting grant applications in this year for projects we may only do next year or the year after. So we're kind of getting ourselves built up. Other thing, Buffalo Road, as you have seen, a lot of work has been going on Buffalo Road. They put down a scratch course. They are not done. There is still a lot more work that you're going to be seeing. For one, we are going through the strenuous process of buying new manhole covers, getting some of them fixed, the ones that were at wonky angles. It will be perfect by the end of this, and that's what our plan. And then probably by the end of September is when they plan on putting the final asphalt course on the top of Buffalo Road. So by the end of this construction season, Buffalo Road should be nicely repaved, all the manholes should be fixed, and the foundations and some of the traffic light work, the foundations and whatnot will have already been set. Then we'll just have to wait through the winter to the spring to get those mast arms and all the electronics and everything plugged in and operating like a traffic light. So that's where we stand right now. Over the next couple weeks, you will see some work going on in different spots along Buffalo Road. And then at the end of September, you'll see the whole thing get paved, the final pave. Now, something I should mention on that, you may have noticed that we adjusted the traffic patterns a little bit. Now, the north side of the road, right across the street from Country Fair there, you have more room to get out of your car. So we will actually be painting some lines on that section. Probably not the scratch course, although maybe we'll experiment. But once we're done completely with Buffalo Road, we will get it's on us to paint the parking. So we will have parking painted on Buffalo Road. In this video so far, touch base on Edison. Bird Drive, as I said, $175,000 from the MPO Local Federal Aid Route Program, the same program we got this money for Euclid. So Bird Drive's got that. Edison, talked about Buffalo Road manholes. Another thing, we have a company out here right now that is, it's called jetting and then televising or cameraing our sewer system, getting video of our sewer system, and they're going to put together a comprehensive report of what needs to be fixed in our sewer system and what's in good shape and whatnot. So you will see a lot of activity by that contractor over the next 6 weeks. As they're out and about, you'll see them pop manholes, drop a camera down in, run the camera up, and do the whole thing. So you're going to see a lot of activity with that. Next, Penelec is replacing the street lights in terms of like the street lighting, like right here behind me here. At those street lights will be being replaced. Penelec should be coming in, and you'll be seeing a lot of activity, I think, within the next several months. I believe their plan is to do the entire borough before the end of the year. So I don't really know their schedule. I don't know exactly when they're coming in, but I do know they are coming in and they intend on being done before the end of this year. And all of these will be transitioned to LEDs, which means that we will save quite a lot of money. LEDs run more efficiently. And also, I did go through meticulously with the Penelec people and made sure they didn't replace like for like, because then it would have been so bright. So I was very cautious with them, and I adjusted some of the wattages to make sure that it's not an overwhelming amount of light. It should give you a similar amount of light as what you have now. The last thing, Penelec, Erie Waterworks is doing a bunch of work, lead line replacements all around the borough. If your house has been worked on, you've already been informed probably. But if your neighbor's house is being worked on, then you may have no idea. And you may be wondering, why are they digging up, why are they closing down a block? Why are they digging up their front yard, whatever. You will see Erie Waterworks, actually Consul Construction is their contractor. You will see them all around the borough over the next so many weeks as they do lead line replacements systematically. So that's where we stand on all of these things, whether it's roads, whether it's sewers, whether it's the manholes on Buffalo Road, whether it's street lights, whether it's all kind of things. There's a lot of projects going on this year, and I wanted to keep you up to date on it. Make sure that you keep an eye on our Facebook here and on Savvy Citizen. Get signed up for Savvy Citizen so you can hear more. But once again, you will see some action here tomorrow, probably, or the next day for the sewers on Euclid, and then you'll see a lot of activity on Euclid soon. And then as that's all happening, I'm already starting to think of 2027's construction season for Edison and Bird and maybe even Phase 2 Euclid. So a lot to think about. Thank you very much. Let us know if you have any questions. I love to get questions from you all. Feel free to reach out. So, send them to my email directly, manager@wesleyville.gov, and I'll try to answer them, or I'll document those questions and make sure I put it in a future video. So thank you very much. Have a good one.